welcome to KCH42. Today we're going to be playing Pokemon Emerald Blitz, a ROM hack with drafted Pokemon, randomized gym order, and no storyline. Typically when you play the game, you draft your team against other people, but today we're going to be using the weekly box, a pre-made team of 8 Pokemon that I select every week for the community to race each other. Give it up for week 15. This week, since we're in June, was a Pride box, so it was recommended but not required that you take Sylveon, and we tried to get 8 Pokemon that kind of match the colors of the rainbow. Obviously, it's a little not fully rainbow here. Teddiursa's orange, but Ursaluna very much is not. And I wanted to have a few Pokemon in, partially for the Pride box theme and partially just good Pokemon that I think should be used and are a bit undervalued. So the core of this box is Porygon, Mawile, Ursaluna. I think really the core is Mawile and then kind of Ursaluna Roserade, but I think that a lot of Pokemon in this box are good, and I think that getting the ability to test out all the different eggs is very useful in the run that we're going to see. It's Clefable. There was another run I did where I had Azumarill and another run where I had Togekiss. But interesting box. I think this is one of the better boxes in terms of raw Pokemon that you have access to. It's also the first time that we've ever had 3 of the same type. As you can see on the top, there are 3 normal types. But yeah, I think fun box. Getting into the run itself, as we can see top right, I'm trying to get a little bit better about keeping the split timer, or I'm testing it out here just to see how much value I think it adds. Around Gym 6 or Gym 7, I end up completely forgetting that I was running that in the first place, and I stopped doing it, and that means going into Gym 8, I think, I kill it. But let me know if, for the first few gyms, if it does anything for you. At the very least, I think when I've actually used it for a bit longer, it would be more valuable, because you can see how, like, the Gym 1 split compares to my best time. But getting into this box specifically, of course, we're going to be leading Porygon into Machop. Unfortunately, my Porygon is extremely, extremely slow. So we are not able to get the conversion off before Machop, which means we're taking a lot of damage here. We're going to get down to 15 HP, but after we get hit by that Karate Chop, we're going to be switching out. Here I'm checking my speed IVs, because I'm like, I definitely don't underspeed normally on Porygon when I'm fighting these mons. But in comes Worthless, who I named the Clefairy because I expected this Pokemon to be worthless. I was probably confusing it a bit for Igglytuff, which is a mon that I do think is low-key completely worthless. But Clefairy, able to get his job done. Fairy type into Farfetch'd on Brawly 1 is very easy. You can see we get out of Gym 1 in 3:38, which for me is very good time. For me, anything below 4 minutes, Gym 1 is very good. Because typically I take so long just developing a plan of battle going into Gym 1. And now we're going to drop early Dewford because we have a Porygon. So there's 2 things. We have a Porygon, and we did not roll Titanize 1, which means I really want to get the Thief TM in case we get TNL 2 or 3 or 4. We're also going to check what rental we have, which is a Mimikyu. Very good rental, but I don't think I end up going it this run just because the Pokemon that we have access to already kind of do everything that we need. We are going to Loveridge Town, Gym 2, which is normally the play, but I decide I'm going to end up going towards the Move Tutor here just because I want to have access to it already while I'm thinking about it. And kind of out of habit here, I end up going into the Move Tutor house. You don't need to do that. As soon as you enter the town, you get the flight location, but I just always try to root through that old guy in the billboard, and I just do it out of habit. But we end up rolling Winona for our next gym, for Gym 3. And I think this is a very good box for early Winona. because we have Helioptile, we have Mawile, who can pretty much wall any Mon that I want it to here, aside from maybe Wingull, but even Wingull, Mawile can probably wall. And because we got early, I think, is this the run where I get early Watson and I taught Shockwave to my Porygon? If you did get early Watson, you can teach Shockwave to Porygon, and it can really do a lot of work. I did not get that this time. If you can't tell, I record the voiceovers for this video pretty much whenever I'm free, which means a minute ago I was recording about 6 hours earlier in the day that I was recording it. So not fully sure everything that I said, but we end up getting conversion Psybeam off for a Porygon. We take out the Swablu, fortunately without getting paralyzed. In comes the Tropius, who we're going to hit with the Psybeam. We don't get the confusion, and I'm contemplating if I want to switch out into something else. I do end up going Mawile just because I really don't want to risk my Porygon Gym 2 to a random Aerial Ace crit or something. And I know that Mawile can wall this. I just click Fake Tears once or twice and start spamming Fairy Wind. And this is really the power of Mawile, because I don't really have any other answer to this Tropius. This box doesn't have a fire type. There's no ice type move in my box. So being able to get an Intimidate off versus this Pokemon that only has physical moves, get it to -2 special defense, and then just be able to click a Stab, a 40 base power move. It's nothing crazy. It's not that quick of a run, as you can see. Kind of losing a lot of time doing this, but it's still decent. Unfortunately, Wingull hits the Supersonic on my Helioptile switch-in, but that's not going to end up mattering because we hit through Confusion and one-shot it with a Thunder Shock. So I'm playing a bit risky here where I hit myself in Confusion. I go for it again, thinking I won't hit myself in Confusion or I won't get crit. Fortunately, I don't get crit, but it's a little bit dumb. And a different line that I actually didn't mention, because I do have Ice-type moves with this box, is I do have Amora, and there is a world where I can switch Amora into an Aerial Ace and it will live a crit Razor Leaf, but I would live that crit Razor Leaf with like 1 HP, and I just don't want to risk it because I know that the Mawile line is guaranteed. Now I'm going to go ahead and put Teddy Ursa in the daycare so that I can get Crunch. Make sure that the first slot is not an important move, which it never really can be with early Teddy Ursa, but I just check that to make sure. Now we get Norman 3, and this is where I'm contemplating, do I start using Worthless again? Because Worthless is good into the Galarian Zigzagoon, the normal Dark-type Zigzagoon, or Lanoon maybe on Norman 3, or Norman 4 that Norman has. But generally, I don't think I'm too worried about this gym specifically. There is some interesting stuff that I want to test out with Porygon Conversion Psybeam into Spinda to see if it will hard swap into Lanoon, because it sees that it is immune to the move. But for now, at least, we just open Mantine. I think it's one of my only Pokemon that outspeeds the Spinda, and I just want to be able to Person Berry, click Bubble Beam twice, and two-shot the Spinda. Unfortunately, that is not how it works. So now we need to break out our Fairy type with Wake Up Slap, who tanks the Teeter Dance. We're going to get through Confusion, fortunately, but we don't two-shot the Spinda. But in comes Mantine again, click another Bubble Beam. Lo and behold, does not get a KO again, so this is kind of the annoying part of Spinda. It's not really that much of a threat, but I'm just checking to see which of my Pokemon can outspeed this thing. Roselia can. I end up taking a decent amount of damage from Facade, which is a bit unfortunate. Another knock against Roselia as compared to some of the other grass types is, as we just saw, physical defense, not that great, but also you don't get access to early Leech Seed, which is very valuable. Now with the Mawile, we get off one Intim, so the Vigoroth's pretty much only going to be clicking around. We get 3 Fake Tears in, so this Vigoroth has -5 special defense now. Effectively, click one Bubble Beam, and it explodes. And now The Lanoon comes in. I'm not positive if this is actually Lanoon or if this is Zorua. I end up going Clefairy, just assuming that it's going to be Lanoon because it's going to want to click Snarl against my special attacker. And fortunately, Worthless comes in and just walls this thing. It really can't do anything to Clefairy or Clefable at pretty much any point in the game, I think. It gets Facade, which I'm not really sure why it decided to click Snarl resisted instead of unresisted Facade, but I don't ask questions about the Emerald Blitz AI too much. Marwala comes in, again, such a good mon. You get Intimoff on the Hisuian Zoroark, it does no damage. You can kill it with the Bite that you learn going into Gym 2, I believe, or maybe you start with Bite. But we are through Norman 3, so very fortunate that we don't get late Norman. I think late Norman, Norman 7-8 are some of the hardest fights in the game. And we get Juan Wallace 4, which with this box is decent but not great. I do believe that we get Roselia Giga Drain though, which is very nice. And it does feel a little bit bad that we don't have Heliolisk for this gym. It's also very nice to have Heliolisk Roserade for Tatsugiri Dondozo lead, because you can two-shot the Dondozo and effectively have a free turn on open with a Giga Drain and Thunderbolt or Parabolic Charge or something. So in we begin to go, and another value with this box for the Fairy type egg is not only you either get a very good Pokemon or you get a sack, but if you get Clefairy, and I think some of the other Fairy types as well, you get Encore. And Encore is such a good move if you know like when and where to use it. I'm not the best Encore user. You'd have to go to Freeze in the public Discord server to really learn how to be an actual Encore user, but in this case, we always know the Wailmer always clicks Defense Curl to prep for its rollout, so we can just always get an Encore off. We're going to go ahead and Charm the Wailmer as well, so that if it does click rollout, it pretty much does nothing. I'm contemplating switching Clefairy out. I end up going into Helioptile because I think we're going to get Waterfall by Dondozo, and I just want to take no damage. And Parabolic Charge hits everything on the map, but Roselia is going to take next to no damage from it because it's resisted, and Roselia's special defense is great. Thankfully, I charmed the Wailmer, so Helioptile doesn't take pretty much any damage. And now it's just a formality at this point, unless we get 5x crit by the Tatsugiri, and this fight's over. And really, this is kind of the power of Roselia. I've kind of trashed Roselia a little bit, both in here and in the community, but part of the power of Roselia is that you are a very good mon early game for first 4 gyms, because Budu's very strong, and Roselia is very good, and you have access to Giga Drain Gym 4, which is very nice. Like, for this fight, if I was playing Bulbasaur, I'd only have Razor Leaf. And Giga Drain versus Razor Leaf is night and day difference, where if the rest of your box is not good into Juan Wallace, having a Pokemon that has Giga Drain already at Gym 4 is just a game changer. So now Gym 4 down, so we're able to get our Oracle Mons in. Aurorus learns Freeze Dry, great move. Would be really great in the E4 or versus late Juan Wallace if I got late Juan Wallace, or if I took Aurorus to E4, which I don't in this run. And now we're going to go ahead and grab some of our TMs. I get Shadow Ball for Porygon because I know I'm going to want it for E4, and I haven't fought TNL yet. And now it's just a matter of getting everybody up to speed, making sure I get the Sunstone for Helioptile, Shiny Stone for Roselia. We will get the Ursaring evolved. It's the biggest question of the hour is always, do I remember to burn my Guts Pokemon? And I'll leave that up to fate to see whether I remember. I do, fortunately, which is very good for a lot of the later fights that you want to use Ursaring in, for when you want to click EQ, non-stab EQ into some of Watson's Pokemon with the Guts boost. Ends up being a KO that it otherwise wouldn't be. We get Sylveon to go along with the Pride theme of the box, and Sylveon's just one of the best Pokemon in the game. Generally, it's kind of so good that I don't like going it most of the time. I know I've said this about a million times. We also get Volt Switch onto Heliolisk, or maybe we don't. I actually couldn't tell if I got it or if I didn't get it. But Volt Switch is a very good move. I don't know why I would have not gotten it, but if I decided to, I'm sure I had some reason. And for Gym 5, we get Roxanne, which for this box is pretty nice because we have Roserade. It could be better, I think, but honestly, I think Roxanne 5 is one of the easier fights. She does not have access to the Cleavor yet, which late game the Cleavor can get a little bit risky. I think with this box, really, the Cleavor is not a threat because you just intimidate it once, or you have your Clefable click Charm once and it's worthless, but it can be a bit risky in the wrong boxes, and typically I like seeing Roxanne 5 because earlier Roxanne you can get you can either get early Viola, which is a demon, or you can get the Relicanth yawning you and hitting you with 1 trillion damage Rock Tombs. But here we lead Roserade. We know it's going to go Arcanine second, and it should probably click Fire Fang because it sees one-shot. There's a world, if it doesn't see one-shot, that it goes for Rock Tomb, but fortunately it doesn't do that. Ursaring is able to EQ once, take out the Arcanine. I think the crit is a little bit overkill. But having the Ursaring with Earthquake is very, very helpful for the Mantine in this battle. Because normally you want your Water type for the Arcanine, but you cannot use Mantine versus Arcanine at all because you get nuclear bombed by Rock Tomb. And now we get Growth into Relicanth, and we get to do the funny old click draining move into bulky Pokemon. We'll end up taking this Probopass down over a pretty long period of time. Proc the Citrus Berry, lose a little bit of speed, but shouldn't bother us too much. Get our berry procced. Still only Oran Berry at Gym 5, unfortunately, but easy gym. A very simple gym, I think, especially with this box. It would be even easier if we had just a normal water type, but we have a water flying type, which that's part of the reason why I think I undervalue Wingull, is having a water type that's not good in the Roxanne feels very weird. But we go ahead and pick up all the citrus berries going up to Gym 6. I'm just checking my... when you click save, it brings up the gyms that you have up in the top left there really quick. And I was checking to see what gyms I haven't fought yet, and I'm trying to think if there's anything that I need to counter any of those gyms. So I end up going back to Slateport because I think this box is really not great into late Flannery, and if I get late Flannery, I really do not want to be surprised by it. We do end up getting late Flannery, which for this box is a little bit risky at this point because look at how many overheat resists we have. We have Mantine. And aside from that, it's looking pretty rough. Fortunately, we have citrus berries going into this gym. It could have been worse if we got Flan 4 or Flan 5. Flan 4, I think probably would have been the easiest one of those two because the Marowak does not have Thick Club yet. But really, this is where it starts getting a little bit tricky, where I'm like, okay, I have Surf, fortunately. I have Thief for my Porygon, and I'm contemplating... I can lead Porygon, I can give it Surf, I can Thief the Marowak Thick Club off, and then it's a lot less threatening to my Mantine. I end up going Wake Up Slap on Clefable because I'm contemplating this could be an angle where I sack my Clefable. Instead of leading Porygon, I'm going to end up leading Ursaring. I'm still normal type, so it can't click Shadow Bone on me. It also will never click Will-O-Wisp, so what it will always do is set up Sunny Day into Overheat. And for that combo for Ursaring, I'm not too concerned about. I don't think Marowak's special attack, even with Sun Boost, is enough really to threaten my Ursaring. And I have two moves. Because I got the Earthquake TM and because I got the Egg move Crunch, I have two moves that can take it out. End up going for EQ, which one-shots, fortunately. Now the Camerupt comes out. And now here, I'm contemplating if Overheat will kill Ursaring after burn damage or something. I have 29 special defense, which is great, but my HP is so low. But especially with the nature of how I expect this fight to go, I feel I need to kind of extract as much as I can. I end up going Earthquake, and it is a one-shot. Guts, Guts Mons are crazy. That's not even Stab Earthquake. Um, and now it's contemplating, okay, can I greed another Earthquake, or am I finally going to be punished with an Overheat in the Sun here? I think I'm going to get punished finally, so in comes the Mantine to tank one of those Stab Sun boosted Overheats. I know, unfortunately, that it's going to be clicking Attract versus me, but I think that's kind of something that I just have to deal with. I know it's going to go for another Overheat here, so I kind of have to keep Mantine in unless I want to sack a Pokemon. We take another 33 damage. We get Citrus Berry. Sun is down, fortunately, and I hit the Surf, which KOs a Torkoal, and that just makes this fight so much simpler that we don't have to lose much more HP from our Mantine. We get hit by Will-O-Wisp because Ninetales doesn't Z-kill with Overheat. And because the Sun's back up, unfortunately, we are not going to be able to KO this with Surf. But because it's clicking Hex off cooldown, I think it's going to be clicking Hex again here. We get Porygon in on what I thought was a Hex turn. It was really a heal turn, which surprised me. I guess it didn't see kill with Hex off the roll. I think that Hex did 33 damage or something, but maybe the mid roll is 29 or something, so it doesn't see kill. We put Worthless in, and we're finally going to get our Rain Dance off versus the second to last Mon. Worthless shows that it has some value, lives the Overheat, and now it's like, okay, well, it's going to click it Hex or Overheat. Ursaring takes no damage from either. It's not even clicking Overheat anymore because of Rain. It's clicking Feint Attack, which Ursaring is not concerned about at all. And last Pokemon, per usual, is this poor little Slugma that gets nuked off the face of the earth by one Earthquake. So 6 gyms down, and I think that Flannery with this box is one of the more difficult. Our last 2 gyms are going to be Tate and Liza and Watson, which Watson 8 with this box would be nice because then we'd have Ground type on Ursaluna. And as you can see, this is where I forget to click my my speed run little thing on the right, the timer. I end up forgetting it. I do remember this time finally that I need Citrus Berries. So I go there before I hit Gym 7, go to Moss Deep for Gym 7 always, and in we go. We do roll Watson 7, which is a bit unfortunate because we don't have Ursaluna, but all in all, I think we should be fine. I have Lincoln Cord for Porygon, fortunately, and I have Shadow Ball for the Raichu, if that's how I want to go about dealing with the Raichu. I have Discharge, which I'm not going to use in this gym, and I think I probably could teach Discharge over Psybeam, but I decide Psybeam. Maybe there's a world where I use Psybeam in this gym. I'm not going to use Discharge versus Watson. That's never going to happen. Maybe I Psybeam for confusion, so I'll keep it. And we are going to teach Shadow Ball to Porygon over Psybeam, so what I just spent 15 seconds talking about is pointless. We teach Sludge Bomb over Water Sport. Didn't end up using Water Sport on Roserade, but could have been useful in like a break glass in case of emergency moment. And into Watson 7 we go. This Golem, unfortunately, has Sturdy, so it will always be able to get Stealth Rock up unless you have Bullet Seed one-shot, or you get Fake Out Flinch into some move that will one-shot it, which I think is pretty rare. So in comes the Manectric. I'm contemplating leaving Roserade in for like a Leech Seed or a Giga Drain random leave because I think Manectric Fire Fang does not do that much damage, but I know Roserade's not that tanky. We put in Ursaring one-shot with EQ, which fortunately is still the case even when we don't have Stab Ground type. We are going to go ahead and go into Porygon here. I'm wondering if we should switch something else in because I think we're going to be moving into a Psychic, and I don't want to get two-shot on my Porygon, especially considering the rocks that are set up. It ends up being I would have been fine. I don't have Calm Mind on my Sylveon, which hurts quite a lot in this fight, in this matchup specifically, because I'd really want to Calm Mind and just click D-Kiss a few times, but we are still able to just click D-Kiss,
a few times. We get light screen set up because I know after Raichu we're not going to leave it in. We get crit to 13 HP, which is a little bit risky. But fortunately, not punished for greeting that light screen. And now versus this Magnezone, I'm kind of thinking I don't have my EQ Mon anymore because I had to use Ursaring on other Pokemon. I'm contemplating, do I put Ursaring in with the light screen setup and I can just deal with it? But I decide no, I think that I probably die to Shockwave into Flash Cannon. We end up going Porygon. We conversion into Shadow Ball. We also downloaded into plus special attack because of the Magnezone being out. And now, because I have Stab Shadow Ball, I'm like, I think these probably do about equivalent damage. So I click Shadow Ball. We almost one-shot the Electrode, and we are able to take down Watson 7. It got a little bit risky, I think, going into that Magnezone. So here I made the executive decision to cut out a little bit of my waffling in the game where I'm flying to the move tutor and flying to Slateport, flying to the move tutor, flying to Slateport, just to kind of smoothen out the gameplay a little bit, and so I look a little bit less foolish in the weekly box run. I did end up move tutoring Moonblast for my Clefable because I want my Clefable to be usable, but I do want to sack it into this gym, in my opinion. I'm also thinking that I'll probably be sacking my Mantine into this gym, and into TNL we go. We are going to end up leading Mantine and Ursaluna. Mantine, I decided that my line is to Confuse Ray the Xatu. Do not ask me why. I think I just want to keep the Xatu alive, and I want to maybe cheese out a turn where it can't hit me. I switch Mantine out because I'm positive it's going to be clicking Power Gem into Mantine here. Mawile is able to resist that. We are instantly rewarded for the Confuse Ray line with Xatu hitting itself, and Ursaluna is able to one-shot. So now my two ideas here is either the Soul Rock is going to Flamethrower my Mawile, which I think I live in Mega. I think Mawile gains some tankiness in Mega. The Xatu goes Sunny Day, and I completely forget that it can Sunny Day Flamethrower. My two options, what I was going to say, is it's either going to Flamethrower or it's going to be Sunny Day Solar Beam. And instead it goes Sunny Day Flamethrower, which I should have contemplated, and I will now. But that was a bit of a jump scare. My Mega Mawile barely lives. Super risky play that I did not need to do at all. And in comes Sylveon, and now we get to do the fun old double Moon Blast. Unfortunately, Sylveon does not have Calm Mind yet, obviously, because we have not fight Tate and Liza up until this point. And now we were a little bit risky with the Mawile. It was also a bit unfortunate that the Xatu did not hit itself in confusion, and instead was able to set up Sunny Day, but I really, in retrospect, should not have risked the Mawile to a high roll Sunny Day Flamethrower combo. And I'll remember that in the future. I really didn't think that the AI would contemplate the Sunny Day plus Flamethrower combo. I thought it would only consider Sunny Day Solar Beam, but now I know. And now we are through the gym phase, and we are into E4 with what I think can be a very good Elite Four box. You have very good Porygon, very good Mawile, Roserade, Ursaluna, Sylveon, all great Elite Four Pokemon. And we'll hit the ground running, I think. We end up rolling Spencer, which I think is kind of neither here nor there. I have Conversion Signal Beam Porygon with a Person Berry on lead, so we're able to click Conversion. I really don't know if I need to click Conversion here. I do, just so that I don't get nuclear one-shot by like a Mach Punch from Breloom. We pretty easily tank an Aerial Ace from Hisuian Decidueye, and here I'm wondering what the Breloom's going to click, and I'm thinking it's going to be Spore, so I'm fine with my Porygon at this HP being the Pokemon to end up getting Spored, so we now have Sleep Claw, so none of the rest of our Pokemon in this fight can get slept, because we have a Pokemon in our party that's asleep. We go into Roserade, click a growth, and are able to Sludge Bomb the Breloom. And now the last 2 Pokemon that come in is a Ludicolo, who's now dead to Sludge Bomb after the growth buff, and a Sceptile, who is likewise dead to a Sludge Bomb, and Roserade fortunately would live the X-Scissor crit there. So very simple, very good. Spencer, we end up rolling Phoebe, which is exactly what I wanted. Honestly, rolling Phoebe or Lucy with this box would be fine because Ursaluna is such a great Lucy answer. And I also have Mawile for the Crobat. There's so much good in this box into whoever the second Elite Four member is. But with this box specifically, I wanted to test Adaptability, Conversion, Shadow Ball, Porygon. So into Phoebe, we are able to get a conversion set up. We have the Lumberry for the Confuse Ray. And now we get to watch the wonderful world of clicking Shadow Ball 5 times. Sableye fortunately does get one shot. Out comes Dusknoir, who also gets one shot, shockingly. Then penultimate Pokemon out is Banette. And really the only question mark for this battle, depending on your Porygon IVs, your Porygon Speed IVs, is that this Typhlosion can come out and click Smokescreen, and it can kind of mess up your sweep. But Porygon, I think that's what, 6 move Phoebe, which is great because Phoebe, a lot of the times, if you don't have the right box for it, can take forever because some of her Pokemon are super tanky. Elite Four member 3, we end up getting Tucker. We're going to lead Roserade, and we are going to get a nice little Sludge Bomb into the Wigglytuff. I think it's a one-shot, so I don't need a Lumberry for the Sing. I'm correct. I know this Gardevoir is probably going to go Psychic, and I probably live a Psychic because of how bulky Roserade is, but I'm just thinking there's not really any point to it. If I know I'm just going to resist with Mawile. In comes Mawile, and we're able to nuclear one-shot Gardevoir with huge power Iron Head. Out comes opponent Mawile, and after Intim, I don't think the Iron Head would kill my Mawile, but I really don't want to risk it. Ursaluna can come in, just click EQ, and it'll be fine. We fortunately get exactly the HP threshold to proc our berry, so we can maybe fight another day versus the Rapidash or something. Our Togekiss answer is going to be Sylveon, and here I'm going to realize that in my infinite wisdom, I forgot to teach my Sylveon Calm Mind, which happens all the time when I get late TNL because I just don't think about it. I set up Light Screen, and it's kind of fine that I don't have Calm Mind because I completely forgot then and even now that Togekiss has Encore. So if I Calm Minded, it would have been worthless, but because I have Light Screen set up, we're able to tank that Aura Sphere very handily with Ursaluna, even with burn damage. I, for a second, contemplate, can I live an attack from the Rapidash here? Because if I don't die and I one-shot, I don't get Burn Tick if this is the last Mon, which I believe it is. But I'm just thinking, let's not be dumb. We go into Sylveon, and I once again forget that Rapidash is a physical attacker. So our Sylveon kind of just randomly risks a crit here. But fortunately, Porygon is a very good, very stable Mon, is able to click Shadow Ball once, twice, and 3 times. We don't get crit by Dazzling Gleam, and we are through Tucker. So 3 Elite Four members down, a little bit of risk here and there, but not really. And we do end up getting Brandon. So we do have Ice Beam TM for Porygon, so if we did get Drake, I think we'd be pretty set. We have Ice Beam user with high special attack and a Sylveon, so we should be fine. I end up teaching my Heliolisk Surf just in case in case this gets really chopped with like Infinity Iron Head flinches or something. But Ursaluna lead, we've one-shot the Doug Trio. Brandon ends up going Swampert because it's going to see a KO with Muddy Water, I believe. It doesn't see KO, so it just goes Protect. I think it's going to Protect or something here, or I just know it's not going to kill me, and I'm going to be able to regen everything off Giga Drain here. It's a little bit risky because with EQ crit, it could potentially kill me. But I think if I get Giga Drain with growth off for the rest of this battle, I'm going to be completely fine for the rest of it. And as we're going to see, Flygon tries to do as much damage as possible, but Roserade clicks the funny Giga Drain move, And the remaining Regirock and Rhyperior are not going to stand a chance against Growth Giga Drain on a Pokemon with as high a special attack as a Roserade. So that's branded down. Honestly, all these E4 fights, aside from a little bit of risking here and there, have been very simple, very straightforward. Here, I'm contemplating who I want to lead into the Roserade, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be Ursaluna. It is. What you might have noticed if you were really paying attention to my TMs is I have Ice Beam TM in case I get Drake, but it also would be really good into Wally's Garchomp. And I'm going to realize here in a second, after the Garchomp comes in a little bit later, that my Porygon very much does not have Ice Beam. But for now, everything's going according to plan. Azumarill comes out looking for one-shot on Ursaluna. We're going to be able to just Giga Drain it. Double-edge crit means that not only does Azumarill KO itself, but my Roserade is super low. And now I'm thinking, okay, this could get a little bit chopped a little bit quickly. Fortunately, Roserade I don't need for that much else, but it would be nice just to tank a close combat with something. I end up sacking the Roserade because I don't have anything that can really one-shot a Talonflame, I don't think, so we're going to use Porygon for Talonflame counter. It clicks Brave Bird again, which chunks it a little bit more, and I think that might put it in Tri-Attack KO range. Adaptability Tri-Attack does so much damage in general, though. And I know that Mega Gallade is going to be clicking Close Combat here. I go Mawile to get an Intim off. This non-resisted Close Combat, even through Intim, is going to do a ton of damage to me. And I did not expect it to do that much damage through Intimidate. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's probably clicking random move here. It could be Psycho Cut or Close Combat at this point. I don't really need my Heliolisk anymore because the Flying type and the Water type are both down. So in comes Heliolisk just to, poor guy, just to get nuclear bombed by a Close Combat. And here's where I'm thinking, I saw that my Porygon doesn't have Ice Beam. I would put Sylveon in here, but I think that I might need Sylveon for Garchomp. I look at my stats. Sylveon's defense is not great, but I'm thinking I can probably still just deal with it, and Close Combat doesn't do too much damage. I think that here I might be risking a Psycho Cut crit. I am, but fortunately it doesn't crit. We get a Draining Kiss off, and because of Gallade's special defense has been lowered so much by Close Combat, we are able to almost one-shot it with D-Kiss, and we dodge another crit with Psycho Cut. Here I'm contemplating between do I click Charm or do I click Moonblast. I end up clicking Charm just because I think my Sylveon's not going to be able to 1v1 this Garchomp, and I want to be able to get 2 moves off with Porygon here. Because if I hit Moonblast, then the Wally will heal the Garchomp, and then it can get a little bit risky where Porygon gets one-shot by EQ. Fortunately, the play ends up paying off. Porygon's able to take out the Garchomp. Sandstorm is set up, but in comes Magnezone, and I'll click a Shadow Ball to chip its Sturdy off. One-shots me with the old Discharge, and now in comes Ursaluna. Nothing that Magnezone can do can keep it from its fate. And we end up beating Wally. So all in all, I think this E4 felt very nice to play. I think pretty much the whole time it was very consistent. I don't think I was really risking many crits the whole time. MVP for this box ends up being Roserade with a 124, which is a pretty good time for me. I think that my weekly box PB might be around 122 or 124. And the Porygon very close to MVP Goodmon. The tier list for this box to me is pretty cut and dry. I do think the one thing that I think I might be undervaluing a little bit is Heliolisk, but I've used it in a couple of public lobby runs recently and a few times in this weekly box. And while it's very good at what it does, I don't think it's flexible enough to really value it higher than where I have. But we'll go down the list. But this is the one that I could really see people moving up, maybe Egg as well. But starting with S tier, I think Porygon is one of the best Pokemon in the game. Your E4 is really good. You have very good early game matchups. You can get Thief TM, which makes your early Tate and Liza really, really good. Even going into later Tate and Liza is good. And then you have a good base stat total Pokemon early game that has conversion, that has side beam. It's a normal type that's a good answer in a Brawly. It's incredible in the E4 with adaptability conversion. You get access to T-Bolt, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Tri-Attack. You get Discharge naturally. You get Signal Beam naturally, which can be good into the first two E4 members, or the first E4 member, either the two of Sydney or Spencer. But just generally, great Mon. It does feel a little bit nasty to only get Final Evo going into Gym 7, but I think as long as you remember to get the linking cord, this thing is demon. It's a good Ice Beam user into Winona. It's a good Ice Beam user for Garchomp in the Wally fight. It's obviously great for Drake. It's usable into pretty much every single E4 member with Tri-Attack adaptability. You can take Nasty Plot if you want. You can conversion. You can have download. There's so much tech with this thing, and it has so much coverage. And normal type is such a good type to have. And then couple that with conversion, you can do some crazy things. You can conversion Shadow Ball the entirety of EB. Such a good mod. And I think that it has so much value in the E4 while still carrying me through some gym phases, whether it's in this run or past runs before. But really, really good Pokemon. I think that this is probably a 4K mon. I think right now it goes for around 3,300 on average. But super, super good Pokemon. I love Porygon so much. Um, Speaking of Pokemon that I love using, we have Mawile. So I think Intim is one of the best abilities in the game. I know that that's a controversial opinion for Pokemon. Um, but generally, I think Intimidate is one of the best abilities in the game, and Mawile is the best Intimidate Pokemon in the game. I think maybe you could argue Litten over it, but personally, I'd go with Mawile because you can Mega and you drop Intimidate, but you get access to Huge Power. It's a great switch in on pretty much every move because it's Steel type. And with Mega, you absolutely nuke things. As long as you don't miss 3 play roughs in a row in Mega, which I have done in a public lobby race before, which I would not recommend. But generally, great Pokemon. Steel, great typing. Fairy, great typing. Steel Fairy, incredible typing. The moveset's pretty good. You get access to like Fairy Wind, Fake Tears early, which can really bail you out of some very difficult situations. Obviously, Intim is incredible for so many early fights. For early Brawly, this is one of the Intimons that is usable, unlike Lillipup, first Evo, I forget what it's called, or Mightyena. And then you also are a wall for Winona. You're great into Norman. There's so much that this mon is good into. You can open it into late Juan Wallace. You can do pretty much everything with this Pokemon. And then in the E4, you're Steel type with Intip. It's so good. Honestly, I could see this moving up here very easily. I kind of just put it here to note that there's like a marked difference between Porygon and Mawile to me because I think Porygon is incredible. I think Mawile is great. I think Budu is also a good mon. I think that Budu suffers from the grass type curse, where there are so many good grass types that Budu kind of gets outshone. I do think that is a very good mon. I think Toxic Spikes and Mortal Spin are overrated moves personally. I never really use them. But that's kind of just my playstyle. But even without that, it's still a great mon. You have Stab Sludge Bomb, Stab Giga Drain, which makes it a demon in late game. You can get Leech Seed. I think you can get Growth as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Very good, very stable Pokemon. Especially very bulky. Defensively, not quite so bulky, which is one of the reasons why I say Bulbasaur is better than it. But I'm a little biased. Then moving to Teddy Ursa, another very good mon. So I think that its Evo curve is awful because you don't get Ursa Ring until Gym 5, you don't get Ursaluna until Gym 8. I do think that Ursa Ring is a good enough mon. You can have Guts, just teach it non-stab. Earthquake, you can give it Facade, assuming you get earlier Norman. And with those things, Ursa Ring is great, Ursaluna is incredible with. Ursaluna in E4 is wonderful. It's not like a top mon, but very, very good in my opinion. And that's why I put it up here, even though the early game is Teddy Ursa is completely worthless early game aside from citrus berries. But once you get Ursaring, once you get Guts, once you get Ursaluna for the Stab Earthquake, it's very, very good Pokemon, which is why I have it up here. I could see it jumping down here for one of these two, though. But getting back to what we were talking about at the beginning, Heliolisk, I think this is a very good Pokemon. I do think that an electric type with water absorb is kind of a gimmick, or dry skin, same thing. Um, but it is a very good gimmick. I think that the parabolic charge move that it gets is very nice. Charge is a fun move to use as well. Just like a little bit of setup move while also letting you nuclear bomb something. It kind of reminds me of the Drain Kiss into Moonblast combo that you have with Sylveon and Aromatisse, where you can lull the CPU into a false sense of security, charge, parabolic charge, and one-shot it like a valuable Pokemon without it being able to heal. But good Pokemon, not great, I don't think. Volt Switch does make it very good into the E4, in my opinion, and I need to try that a little more. I think my Heliolisks kind of always die in mid-game because I expect it to be able to withstand more than it can. But still good mon. Now, Egg, this is where I wonder what the value of Egg should be. I think that you have two options. You have one option which is incredible, which is Togekiss. You have one which is very good in Azumarill. You have one that's honestly kind of decent and clefable, and then you have the worst mon in the game in Igglybuff, or one of the worst mons in the game. And I don't like gambling because, especially in a ranked game in EGP, you are you do not want to risk getting an Igglybuff because then you'll be spending 2,500 probably minimum on an Igglybuff, which can feel terrible. It can feel great though. So it's a bit of a roll. I do think generally its value is high enough to justify potentially rolling an Igglybuff, because even if you get Clefable, it's still usable. And maybe there's a little bit of tech with the Mega if you don't have any other Mega, but I think honestly it's good. I could see an argument for normalizing RNG to say that typically it should give you high A value, so you can move it up to low A. Um, but I do like Egg a lot more after this box than I did before. I used to think that Egg was the worst, one of the worst things you could get in draft because you have to spend so much for it. And I thought you could potentially get two worthless mons, but Clefable's usable. It's not great, but it's usable. And then last and unfortunately least, we do have Amora. I think that Amora is a little bit overhated, but I still think it's bad. So that's why I have it here and not in D. But I do think that there's niches for it. On Gym 5, you're very bulky. I think generally the Mon is decent, but it's an ice type that can't play the game versus Winona. It's a rock type that doesn't resist Flannery. Like it's a decent mon, but it has no niches. It's even an ice type that takes super effective damage from grass types for the Hisuian Voltorb or Electro. There's so many problems with this mon that take away from the fact that it's honestly pretty good, which is why it's the lowest of anything on this list. But in general, I think this box was very, very good. Am I missing a Pokemon here? I'm missing a Pokemon here. Hold on. Okay, crisis averted. We have the Mantine added now. So to finish what I was saying with Mora, good Pokemon, but not good in Blitz, I think, which is why it comes here. There are some good matchups for it, and especially into like Norman, I think it has a lot more value than people give it credit for, but it's still not really good enough to separate it from anything else. And the real last but not least is Mantine, who I just completely forgot was in this box when I made this tier list. But it's a good Pokemon, great early game on. I think that the Mantine was what allowed the rest of this box to be a thing because we really needed a Pokemon that was usable in early Brawly, and especially Brawly 3 and 4 when it has Wing Attack and it's Mantine, and that's good in Flannery. Because I think that this box is a little bit weak to mid-late Brawly, or like early mid Brawly, I mean. Like Brawly 3 to 5 before you can get really a counter to it, aside from, I guess, Sylveon or Espeon if you want to go that, but your only real counter to it is Budew with Poison, potentially a Fairy with this, and Conversion Porygon, which is not really consistent into later installments of Brawly. But Main I think good Mon. I think it's stable, but I don't think it's great. I think it's great as a Flannery answer specifically, especially early game. But I think early Flannery is not close to enough of a threat to really justify the amount that gets spent on Mantine, even though it is a very stable Pokemon. And I think especially in ranked and when you're starting to play the game as well, I think that stability is very, very important. But generally, I think that the stability that Mantine brings kind of falls off very quickly. And you really want a water type, a flexible water type that can be a workhorse through a lot of the gyms for you. And I think Mantine doesn't really bring that too well later in the game. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But compared to the rest of the box, I think this is about the right slot for it. Good Mon, very useful, which I think can be said for pretty much every one of these Mons, maybe Sans, poor old Amora. But all in all, very good box. I think there are some pronounced weaknesses with the box in general, and some very weak points of it. I think that TNL can be a little bit difficult with this box. I think mid-late Watson before you get ground type on your Ursaluna can be a little bit difficult. But all in all, I think pretty much every gym, E4 member, and champion are all doable with this box, which is good. And these are all good Pokemon. I think that going forward, assuming they come up at the right point in drafts. I will probably be drafting pretty much all these Pokemon except maybe poor old Mantine because I don't like using it, but I still think it's good. But that is week number 14. So thanks for hanging around. Peace.